was 6 to 9 months after Jesus moved house to Capernaum. He'd focused on providing hands-on equipping to the inner circle of his growing crowds of disciples. He'd seen the benefits of focusing upon a few core disciples with increased evangelistic opportunities for many more. Then, two things threw everything into a crisis. First, the positive response of Levi Matthew, a tax collector on the shores of Lake Galilee near Capernaum, when Jesus called him, "Matthew, follow me." Second, Jesus' declaration to the Pharisees that the Sabbath was to bless rather than burden the people, and his claim that he was the Lord of the Sabbath horrified them. Arch enemies, the Pharisees with the Herodians, plotted to get rid of him.
Jesus came out into these fields to spend the night in prayer. What was to be his next move? He'd prepared well for his disciple making. The foundational priorities had been laid down. He had intensely equipped a few for expanding outreach. Receiving counsel from the Father, he called his disciples together, chose 12, whom he called apostles. And so, just over 24 months into his ministry, it was time for leadership multiplication. Having chosen the 12, sending a clear signal to Jewish and Roman leaders as well as to his disciples that this was a kingdom movement, Jesus outlined his core values. In the Sermon on the Mount, he shared his upside-down, counterintuitive worldview. He gave blessing to the broken and disenfranchised. He outlined a crazy game plan. Love your enemies and pray for those who persecute you, that you might be acting as the true children of your Father in heaven.
This radical plan was followed by intense, exhausting ministry. Jesus organized his disciples into teams to go out and eat with people, to heal the sick, including lepers and demon-possessed, and telling all that the kingdom of heaven is near. They were to look for key people of Shalom who would welcome them into their homes to stay. During the next 12 months, Jesus toured in towns and synagogues across Galilee, modeling, mentoring, and multiplying his team of leaders. According to Luke's Gospel, for every parable or teaching Jesus gave to the male apostles, Jesus shared a parallel instruction to the growing number of female leaders, women who travel with Jesus and sat at his feet to learn. These women include Mary from Magdala, where a first-century synagogue was recently unearthed. Also, Joanna, the wife of Chusa, the manager of Herod Antipas's household in the capital, Tiberias.
Jesus outlined numerous principles for the leaders of his kingdom movement. These were different. For his movement was not to be characterized by institutions, hierarchies, or status, such as the religions and systems of Judaism and Rome. Simple parables made his message and mission plain. He told stories of shepherds and peasant farmers. He said the farmer went into the field to sow seed. He outlined the activities of the farmer: prepare, sow, cultivate, gather, multiply. These provide a simple frame for disciple making and movement building today.
The apostles were constantly stretched, but they were hardly prepared for Jesus' next challenge when he said, "Let's go over to the other side." It was disturbing enough traveling through Samaria, but the other side meant to cross the Lake of Galilee into the land of dark volcanic mountains, pagans, evil spirits, and pigs. It was a different territory, the area of Decapolis, 10 Roman cities. A sudden squall almost drowned them. But more terrifying, as Jesus stepped out of the boat on the far shore, a naked, demon-possessed man ran at him from the tombs, shouting at the top of his voice, "What do you want with me, Jesus, Son of the Most High?" Jesus cast the demons out. They possessed a herd of 2,000 pigs that rushed down a steep embankment into the lake. By the time the townspeople arrived, the man was sitting fully clothed and in his right mind. As Jesus prepared to leave, The healed man begged to go with him, but Jesus knew he had found a key person, one he would later call a person of peace. This man had welcomed him. This man had a reputation and influence. So Jesus said to the man, "Go home to your family. Tell them how much the Lord has done for you and how he has had mercy on you." Like the Samaritan woman, this man was a key person. He went to the cities of Decapolis, telling how much Jesus had done for him. And the next time Jesus crossed to this dark shore, there were 4,000 men plus women and children waiting for Jesus. At Kersey today, we walk among the Byzantine churches and chapels that were built as monuments to this first missionary to the Gentile pagans, the healed demoniac.
With his Jewish followers seeking to force him to become king to overthrow the Romans, Jesus retreated with his apostles to Gentile pagan territories, first to Phoenicia, then Decapolis, and then north to the region of Caesarea Philippi. In the shadows of the Golden Heights and Mount Hermon, and surrounded by pagan temples, the Temple of Augustus, the Temple of the Dancing Goats and the god Pan, and with the gates of Hades, which received the sacrificial goats to appease the spirits of the deep, and from which the waters of the Jordan flowed, Jesus had further lessons for his disciples. Had the people understood who he was? Who did they think he really was? Peter responded, "You are the Christ, the Son of the living God."
Peter got it right, but only by divine revelation from the Father. Jesus' kingdom movement was built upon himself, the Anointed One. His church, his gathering of disciples, was based on this truth. They had the keys to the kingdom because they knew him.
From that time on, Jesus spoke of his crucifixion and the reality that anyone who chooses to follow him must take up the cross. Jesus' disciple-making and movement building involves a radical transformation of worldview and attitude. But this is the journey of life and meaning.